the value of having KP is that 35-foot, floor spacer who opens up even more room for Luka, who is a great pick and pop partner for him, but doesn't beat mismatches on post-ups, who can't make teams pay for putting a 6-foot guy on him. That's one of the reasons why months ago the Mavericks were quietly, gauging the market for what a return could be for KP.
Really quick, before I begin, if you guys can smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, this seriously makes a huge difference to my videos and lets YouTube know to recommend this video to a brand new audience. So thank you so much for doing that, and let's begin.
The Mavericks, I think, are starting to convince me, as they are heading towards this, and whoever they're going to face in the playoffs, I'm thinking more highly of them, and they're certainly got the chance of going in hot, but I do wonder, does this stay the same when Porzingis comes back?
Yeah, I mean, with Porzingis, they've really been bad defensively. When you have some front courts with Dwight Powell and KP in there at the same time, that can hurt you defensively. And they've been a lot better defensively, with some of the configurations they've been able to have. KP just can't defend in space right now, but he still does raise your ceiling. When you have him out there, his ability to space the floor from 35 feet. So, I mean, in some ways, Chris, the Kristaps Porzingis conversation right now, today, is no different than it's been for us the entire season, in the sense that you can't rely on him to be there. You just can't. He comes and he goes. That's the way it is with him. You don't know if he's going to finish games. You don't know if you're going to have him for an entire playoff series. But he does raise your ceiling when you have him. With all that said, though,
is that it? But is that in theory, or does he really? Do you think they're better? I mean, I honestly watch them, and I know that Hardaway Jr. has been crazy hot, and that may be not sustainable. But I watch them, and I mean, I've always kind of liked Powell because he doesn't take, he's going to shoot a high percentage from the field. He doesn't take bad shots. He also doesn't stretch the floor out completely, but he's energy guy, and there's stars and there's role players, and guys like that take a small amount of shots. They keep the ball moving. They fight for rebounds. They defend their position. And I do think that there is, in some ways, it's not always the superior player. Sometimes it's just how it fits together. And there are times when I watch them and think, man, it fits together better when he's not there. I know it should. I know it should be good. It's not always about the talent.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was getting at. You have Porzingis, and in theory, he does raise your ceiling, but the negatives of what he is on defense right now might outweigh any positives on offense. I mean, you shred defenses with Luka, period. It doesn't matter who he's on the court with. He is going to get his and create open shots for his teammates. So the value of having KP is that 35-foot, floor spacer who opens up even more room for Luka, who is a great pick and pop partner for him, but doesn't beat mismatches on post-ups, who can't make teams pay for putting a 6-foot guy on him. That's one of the reasons why months ago, and I know Mark Cuban denied it, but I remember Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report reported that the Mavericks were quietly, gauging the market for what, a return could be for KP, because it's a smart thing to do. In the same way that we're questioning the fit, they should take that same approach this offseason. We're jumping ahead here. But the reality is that there is those major questionable fits about him. And what we've learned about Dallas is they can still produce at a high level without him by having other guys take on that floor spacing role. Like you said, Hardaway is lighting it up, but it's not like how in passing, some shooters, regardless of position, like Karl Anthony Towns is a great shooter, period, right? Regardless of position. Kristaps Porzingis is not a great shooter regardless of position. He's a great shooter for a 7-footer. And in today's NBA, maybe you're better off having just a great shooter there rather than a 7-footer who can shoot. Does that make sense?
Because, yeah. And I also, the concern is
you don't get the other benefits of a 7-footer is what I'm saying,
Yeah, right. If he's not going to be contesting everything.
Yeah,
right?
is that not contesting everything, not being a dominant rim protector, not being a dominant rim runner or a post player? Like all the benefits of a 7-footer aren't there.
Right. And I wonder if, I mean, sometimes I think like, oh yeah, but who's going to be that second guy that you're going to need in the playoffs, especially if they're running doubles at Luka and whatever. And that is, can it be, it's not ideal for Tim Hardaway Jr. to be your second guy, but honestly, like, what are the chances that Porzingis is more consistent? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I getting that out of him every night? Am I getting the 20-something that I need out of a second guy? If it's him, I'm unsure, you know? I'm unsure. And obviously, look, the more space you could give Luka to do what he wants to do, and he's going to find you and he's going to get you good shots. I really don't know if whoever they're going to play, whoever they're going to match up with in the playoffs, I really don't know, honestly, if I think they'd be better off with him not in the lineup.
So you would even?
I think it's possible. I do think it's possible.
Yeah, KP raises your ceiling though of what you can be
in
on a
theory
basis. He raises the ceiling. I mean, he could also lower the floor sometimes because of the defensive limitations, the inconsistencies on that end of the floor. But when KP is on, like we've seen him have some dominant stretches for Dallas to close last season before the hiatus. You know, he's had moments along the way this season as well.
Right.
I mean, he's in theory an incredibly important player, but the fact is that, you know, let's say you're Dallas right now, you're in the 5 spot at the moment. They could hold that. They have a game up on the Lakers and Portland, who are tied, and we'll talk about them fighting for that 6-7 spot with the play-in. Dallas still not out of that yet either, but if they do hold the 5, and if they get Denver in the first round, that's a super intriguing matchup. And for the Dallas Mavericks, suddenly, you know, you're playing this well, you're thriving without Porzingis, who on paper is your second best player. And if you're plugging him back in, not a hard guy to plug in, you know, it just changes things of who you are. That makes them suddenly very, very interesting. If they were to win a first round series against Denver and then have Utah or Phoenix in the second round, I'm just saying there's a path for Dallas to make a deep run here. There really is. Like, this year could get super funky. It really could with the teams that we have deep going into the Western Conference playoffs.